This is where you realize that you have been chatting too much and not ready for your show at all. So,
It's
what's
all
up,
right.
Rod?
It's all right.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm
It,
doing fantastic on this splendid Monday evening, Herb. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. It's a Monday night, so anybody checking in is going to be a little surprised. So, little backstory: we have really totally turned into like college football all the time. Last year, this time, I think
Yes.
a little bit month before we had started some basketball stuff that we were doing, and
Yep.
this year we leaned totally into
College
the
football.
college football, and that's all we've been doing for the summer. But we said we wanted to
Yeah.
talk some NFL, and two of our favorite people were still willing to come talk to us, even though it's like their third
Yeah.
time. So they either really like us or they're just bored tonight. We appreciate either one of those. That is fine with us. And
And
we said we got to do it on
Herb,
a special.
you're right. You're right. Just to make sure, Herb, everybody, all four of us, we're here to talk about Tua's greatness, right? That's it. The whole hour is going to be Tua's greatness.
Give me a second.
Or
Let me check my notes.
that's what I saw in the
No, I don't.
notes.
I
So
don't see
maybe
that
I
on the
missed it.
schedule, Raj. But thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You
Okay.
probably.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's okay.
If we were going to
All right.
talk about Tua's greatness, that'd be a short conversation anyway. So here we go. Let's say hello to a comedy real quick. What's up, Kat? How are you doing tonight? Appreciate you doing. And Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Happy Monday. Hey, how are you doing?
Shout out to Kat. Thank you, Dave Barrett. Thank you for joining us.
All right, time to bring the guests on, the real stars of the show. I like bringing on the
Let's
guests
do it.
because after that's done, I can go get myself a drink and y'all will carry things for the rest. All right.
All right.
So first off, Raj, you've seen him several times. A couple things you don't know about him. One, he's in line to play DK Metcalf in an upcoming biopic about the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, because they have the same.
He's gonna have to get a heck of a tan.
Yeah. Well, look. I don't make the casting decisions. Okay. All right. The Seahawks are actually negotiating to move out of their stadium, and they'll be playing in his backyard. And
that I can see that. I can see that.
You can see
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're gonna have to move the stream, I think, and the waterfall will have to go this way, but that's what's in line.
They've got time, and Bo's got the money, so it'll work.
Yeah. And it would be a position change, but if something happens to Geno Smith this year, he's next in line to take over as quarterback. So
I can see that as well. Bo's got a cannon.
How are we doing?
Yeah. I a lot more sun, I think. Yeah. So all things being equal, I can still throw about 55 yards though. So the arm hasn't totally died yet.
Yes. So that 5 yard out, you're still tossing at 50 and just saying, hey.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I could play DK, but I could play Justin Fields.
Oh, wow.
I can throw a flat, no problem.
Oh my God.
And the stray shots have started already. So what's up, Speed? How you doing? Part of the
What's going on, Speed? Thank you for joining us.
Tag team on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central Time. Great group of guys there. Great. I don't even watch wrestling anymore, and I watch this show every week. That tells you.
Same here. I'm always tuned in. Well, for the majority of the time, I'm tuned in. Yes.
All right. And for the let's be honest, the guest that knows the most out of all of us is the star of the show. Rod, she's actually in talks to buy the Cowboys. She offered them all the money in her pockets, and they're like negotiating right now. So we'll see how that turns out.
Wow.
I mean, that would be awesome.
That would be pretty dope.
Okay. The San Francisco's offered to trade Brandon Ayuk for her, but the Cowboys turned them down. And lately, she's actually been running practices, and they've actually not let Mike McCarthy onto the field. So, welcome to the stage.
Cowboys are going to go undefeated then. Okay.
I mean, it's also smart.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for presenting my two truths and a lie. I mean, two of those are true. One is not. I'll let you guys decide which. Probably owning the $1 billion franchise, I feel like wouldn't be the least likely here, but who knows? So thank you for having me back on. I'm excited.
Yes,
of course. Thank you for joining us.
Very much. So, we're going to start off with everybody. Quick recap of your personal team and let you talk just a bit about them since the last time we've been on here. We're limiting the Cowboys talk to 5 minutes or less. That is not a shot at Sara. She was an excellent sport last time we were on here, and the Cowboys kind of got it for about a good 20 minutes. So we're limiting it this time.
There was just so many questions.
There was, and look, she answered them all.
There still are.
Yeah. So that's where we're going to start. It feels like nothing has changed are your thoughts any different from last time we left it? I mean, nobody seems to have any money still except for you and Jerry Jones.
And both.
No, I mean, I think 5 minutes is probably appropriate. And I could talk about them all day and I can take the slander all day. But nothing, like you said, not much has really changed since the last time we were on and talked, circling back to them. I think that was springtime at this point. I guess I'll start with some positives to start to be different for a change. That I have to say, this has probably been my least Cowboys fan off season ever. Obviously, we all know the Cowboys fans are, this is our year. And it's not our year, but maybe I'm using, I don't know. I'm kind of like, maybe I'm psychologically going the other way on it and hoping that this will be our year if I say it's not our year. So I'll let you guys see how that plays out. But they had a lot of big gaps to fill in the offensive line this year. And that seems to actually be shaping up well so far from what we've seen early preseason. They had the loss of Tyron Smith as well as their center Biadish. Which both seem to be getting filled by Tyler Guyton, who played very well in preseason so far, and Cooper Beebe at center. So I think that's an area of positivity that was a big question mark going into this year, and especially the last time we talked. So that's been reassuring. I think in terms of what's still a question mark, the running back room. We have Zeke there, which I guess, in my opinion, I see yeah, I see as more of a morale boost, if anything, honestly, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And behind him, it looks like maybe Rico Dowdle would be, second to him. And then there's a lot of question marks after that. Deuce Vaughn has been fun and exciting to watch, but I'm not sure if we are really sold, on him being a good quality running back, and especially in how generally the Cowboys like to run the ball. So there, I'm hoping that maybe we'll pick someone up, in the coming weeks, off of, whether it's when teams start making cuts, or other than that, I don't really know. They maybe go try and go 1-2 punch with Zeke and Dowdle, kind of how they used Pollard a little bit, with Zeke being the starting back, but Pollard really was taking more of the carries, and see where that takes them. Going to require a strong line to get much out of that. But so I think overall, and then obviously elephant in the room is still the contract, negotiations that are at a standstill, seemingly so, for Dak and CD. I think the last I saw, CD Lamb was given or offered around $33 million per year, which he didn't apparently find to be enough. So yeah, I don't know.
I wish they could offer me and Herb that much.
Yeah.
Imagine being in a spot where you're like 33 mil. Nah.
Yeah, that's nothing. Yeah.
I know.
That's cute. Try again.
Yeah. I feel like it's moving. I don't know about you. You guys, maybe it's me being biased to the Cowboys fan, but I feel like it's really moving like really slow. I feel like the news coming out of this is like an offer from the Cowboys. And it's like, are they mailing these contract offers? Because it's like a 4 to 5 day turnaround before we hear anything out of CD's camps, and stuff. So I'm hopeful they can get that done before the start of the regular season. And then obviously waiting on Dak to see, if they'll be able to re-sign him or if he'll be entering free agency after this year. Dak had a more positive spin on it the last I heard, last week, saying there was, things were going well or what progress was being made. So I think that's heading in the right direction. Still not sure how I feel about it. I think I was last, time we talked, it's still a big question mark, but I feel like if we're signing and putting a good amount of money into CD, I kind of want to see them sign Dak and really try and pull something out of this year, because what's the point of signing CD to this big deal if we don't really have a quarterback? So that's kind of how I see it.
So do you think
I
was just going to say, do you think they're actually going to get it done, or do you think they're just embracing we're going to rebuild this thing?
I think they're going to get it done at this point, honestly. I think they've seen some promise maybe in the guys that they've drafted and what they're seeing in camp. Trayvon Diggs back has been like huge for them.
To clarify, you mean for both guys, you think so?
I think so.
CD and Dak? Okay.
CD is far more likely, I think. I mean, you'd be crazy to let CD go at this point. I think it's just more Jerry Jones being stubborn. And, he really has never had something like this not go his way. So I feel like he has no reason not to believe that it's going to get done.
There's no pressure.
Yeah, CD's just holding a little firmer than they expected, I guess. But I think Dak is probably less likely. But I do think more recently, based on what Dak said, I do think they are going to end up signing him and probably making him the highest paid quarterback at that point.
What does that mean for Micah Parsons then?
Exactly.
Yeah. Question marks everywhere. Question marks everywhere.
I mean, look, Herb, I don't have all the answers.
So, I mean, that just means that if they do somehow get those three guys signed, then you are 4 years away from a disaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
They're on the Titanic, but they're
all
like,
that money down the road.
Yeah, I feel like that's how it always is, though. Like the salary cap is just quite to me. It's like all this talk about the salary cap and like and everything, but then no one ever actually is like really in that much of trouble with it in the end. Like I feel like it kind of ends up working out somehow. I don't know. You're kicking the can down the road, but it seems like something always changes before you get there. At that point,
the Rams ate it, but they got a ring, so people don't look at it as bad because they're like, well, it worked. Whereas when you look at the Saints who did something similar, then they just became bad.
Yeah, that's true.
And sorry, Kat, I know that you are a Saints fan and one of our most loyal listeners. We're sorry. I had to say the Saints out there, though.
Yeah.
That wasn't a stray, though. That just actually happened.
Yeah.
With this, yeah. And that's something we're going to actually be talking about later. We'll welcome in Randy.
Yeah.
Says it's not college football yet. We will be talking about the quarterbacks later. None of like the top quarterbacks have won anything anymore, so that doesn't seem to be a requirement anymore. So we'll get into that a little bit. Thanks, Sarah, for catching us up with Dallas. Like I said,
appreciate you, Sarah.
Painful last time, so and
that was much easier. Thank you.
Watch her, she got turned off her mic. All right, I'm done, guys. So, Bo, we're talking about the Seahawks. Like, my first question with them, I was just kind of looking around, and I was like, I don't really know, I guess, kind of their identity. Are they feel like they're going for it? Are we still a couple of years away from, like, a rebuild? Then I go through an article online, and they're kind of like, look, Seahawks, sneaky good team this year, return to the playoffs. Where do you kind of sit when it comes to them?
Yeah, so, I mean, the thing is one of the things people are overlooking about the Seahawks is their offensive main players are all returning from, last year they didn't look great, but their offensive line was hurt the whole year. The year before, they were a top 5 scoring offense. They still have all those guys. So now you have your desired guys up front, healthy. You have a new center, which they desperately needed, in Connor Williams coming in. And so to help solidify the middle of the offensive line, which will help the running game, obviously. And so if they can get back to not even a top 5, say they're a top 10 scoring offense, and they go from a bottom 5 defense that they've had the last 5 years, say they're average, right? They're a 16th best, right? They're square in the middle. Then that's a playoff team, right? Because they went 9-8 without that. They went 9-8 with no offensive line and one of the worst defenses ever. So if you can get decent offensive production and just average play out of your defense, I think you return to being a 9-8 team. And I say that only because their schedule is harder this year than it was the year before. The problem with the Seahawks coming into this year is the window is so big because nobody knows what this team's going to look like. You have a lot of new pieces on defense, almost entirely outside of your, you have a safety and 2 corners. Outside of that, it's mostly new guys. So you don't really know what that defensive identity is going to be, and you're not going to know until the season starts. You also have an entirely new coaching group, right? And all of them are new in their respective positions at the NFL level. So we haven't seen these guys do those jobs. And yeah, I mean, so the thing that's funny is Albert is absolutely a Geno hater. The thing that's funny is the year before last, where the line was destroyed, he set the single season passing record for the Seahawks.
Right.
Like, whether you think he's mid or not, production doesn't lie. Like, numbers are real. So whether you love Geno or not, he plays well. Is he Josh Allen or Mahomes? No, of course not. You know who else doesn't have that team? 30 other teams don't have that guy. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, can he get the job done? Sure. Are there guys that are better than him? Yeah. But is he bang for the buck, probably your best producer? No question.
Yeah. He seems like a guy that I like. You don't see any bad real press about it. It's like, where do Geno haters come from? Now, also on the flip side, though, Mr. You posted a poll. One guy said he's a top 10 quarterback. So I'm like, I don't know about either one of those, to be honest.
So if you did production per dollar, he would actually be the best QB in the league because he doesn't make anything. And what he's been able to produce has been great. But if you're talking about just a true top 10 ranking, yeah, he's not a top 10 quarterback. He's probably, 12th, which, I mean, isn't bad. It means you're above average. Right. You can win a lot of games with above average. Trent Dilfer got a ring being above average. As long as the rest of the team is solid.
Right, I was going to say, was he even above average? He just seemed like he was there. That's fine.
I mean, that particular year, he didn't turn the ball over a lot.
Right.
So, I mean, I would give him above average because I think his touchdown to interception ratio was decent. But, yeah, I mean, but all the same, he got a ring. So, hey.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Raj, you're already getting some love in here. What's your
Fins up. Shout out to Big Mike.
So, Raj.
Come on.
I'm just trying to figure out if I should be nice or rude about it. So, tell us about your Dolphins.
Okay.
Albert really is the 15th the best. I mean, that's still. I know a lot of teams that would take the 15th best quarterback.
I'll take. Yeah, exactly.
That still puts you above average. That might be 16 would be the benchmark.
Yeah.
Right. So, honestly, I feel like Miami is kind of where we left off where we were last year. I mean, offensively, we're going to be we should have the same amount of production that we did last year. We got Tyreek. Obviously, we have Tyreek back. Jalen Waddle. We got our Mostert and A-Chain in the backfield. And for some reason, we gave Odell Beckham $8 million. I feel like he was highly overpaid. I honestly don't know how much he's actually going to get the ball. Third, fourth receiver at best. His best years are behind him, but whatever the case may be, it is what it is. My problem is defense. It's the same problem that we had last year. We had no problem scoring points, but we had problem defending the other team. Our defensive line right now for 2024 is ranked 25th out of 32 teams, which is absolutely horrible. And obviously the big loss that we gave up was Christian Wilkins. He signed with the Raiders. I forgot how much they gave him. Obviously, it was money that Miami did not want to give him. I wish they could have did more. I wish they would have just gave him the money. We severely needed him up on the line. Of course, Xavier Howard's gone. So with those holes, I mean, I feel like our offense is just going to have to score even more points than we did last year to kind of make up for the points that we're going to give up on defense, which kind of sucks. Right? Yeah, I don't get it. And even when they made the Odell deal, I text Herb and I was just like, why are you giving him $8 million? That's just, and he's not going to get a lot of reception. Maybe 300 yards, maybe a little more at that at best. But with Tyreek and Waddle taking most of the production, I mean, it's just not going to happen. And again, our backfield is gonna eat this year too. So. Offensively, I think we're good enough, and we'll get into this later on in the show, but I think we're good enough to win the division. And obviously, what I haven't talked about yet, the big question and the big statement we made was Tua got paid. He got paid, honestly, more than I thought he was going to get. I was thinking they were hovering around mid-40s, maybe 47, but he's averaging around a 53.1, so I think he's like the third. Right now, obviously, Dak's deal is not done, so right now he's the third highest paid quarterback in the league. But with that means that we have to win a playoff game. I'm not saying win 10, 11, 12 regular season games. You have to win a playoff game to kind of prove that he's worth the money he's getting paid. Will it happen? I think it'll happen this year. I think we're going to win the division. Don't shake your head, Herb. Don't shake your head. I think we're going to win the division.
Right. There's stuff, and I'm just checking and making sure the lighting is
I know.
right.
I got you. I think this is the year.
Okay.
We were honestly, I thought we were going to win the division last year, but we lost the game to Buffalo, which we shouldn't have lost. I think this is the year that we finally win the division. We get a home seed in the first round because we all know that Miami does not play well on the road in December or January, if we make it to January. So hopefully we get that home field advantage in the first round, win the first game, and then we can kind of defend Tua even more. But right now, I got to see a playoff victory.
Yeah, because you guys don't play well on the road.
Or in cold weather.
Against good teams or in cold weather.
Or on Peacock. Yeah.
A lot of stipulations here.
Yeah.
We're gonna on that point.
Based on what you just laid out there, you guys really should have signed Kirk Cousins because he is good before 7 during on Sunday. That's it.
Might as well have
if he can stay healthy, yeah.
I mean, historically he's stayed healthy though.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to our dad who's watching. Major Rag still. How are you doing, sir? Appreciate y'all.
Evening, Dad.
Hope you guys
Love
are
you.
enjoying the show. Love you. Sarah, we're going to pick up where that point was because I've heard from both of these guys on different shows about this. Tua getting paid, and then we'll kind of expand to the rest of them. But what were your first thoughts on that and just what the season means for him?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like – oh, go ahead.
I was asking her.
Go. I'm sorry.
I was asking her. I said I want to go her first because I've heard from both Raj and Bo on this subject already.
Okay.
I think that I mean, honestly, I felt like it was kind of an expectation at this point. It seems just now like in terms of how quarterbacks go, pretty much I know he wasn't the highest. I mean, now he's not the highest paid, but I feel like every deal is kind of just a little bit higher than the next, maybe a smidge less, depending upon your years in the league, experience, playoff wins and things like that. But to what Raj said, and I feel this way similarly with Dak Prescott. I mean, if you're getting paid, you better be winning playoff games. And I think in Dallas, it's definitely more than one at this point. But I mean, I think unfortunately that's kind of just where it seems the league has went. I mean, I think the more shocking QB signing was at this point Jordan Love. I mean, I think he shows a good amount of promise, but I don't know if he necessarily deserves to be up to there in these conversations, with somewhat top tier quarterbacks, I think, who've had much more opportunity to prove themselves.
Yeah. Bo, you have some thoughts?
I think it was that playoff win at Dallas, I guess, that kind of got that number increased a little bit.
And really the last part of the season, plus waiting till right after Tua, which that was hilarious. I think as soon as Tua signed, they're like, all right.
Yeah, the market's only going up with every signing. So that's why it's infuriating that Dallas has been waiting so long, because if we'd gotten this done several deals ago, we'd be saving a little bit of money.
Well, and they did that the first time with Dak too. So, I mean, they just have a habit of overpaying Dak, I guess. But I mean, so it is kind of where these contracts have gone at this point. All of a sudden, it doesn't really seem to matter if you've done any production, because Tua got it, Lawrence got it, Love got it. Love had 7 good games, right? He didn't even string a whole season together. Lawrence is wildly inconsistent, a little bit of a turnover issue. Obviously, Tua only has 1 healthy year, including college, right? So, I mean, that's a concern. But at the same time, who set the benchmark was Daniel Jones. Had 1 good year and a contract year. He got a bunch of guaranteed money. And, that's just kind of the way that the contract talks have gone. Whereas it used to be there had to be some production for you to reset, right? So when Goff got paid, made sense, right? He has back-to-back 4,000-yard years. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won when it mattered. Makes sense. Stafford wins a ring. Sure. You got guys that are barely getting a whole season that's good. Like it's not like you were an MVP candidate. Like you're just like, oh, good job. You threw to your own guys, right? You are now going to make $55 million. Like it makes absolutely no sense. And that's why I think Dak, coming off of the year that he did, I mean, does he get close to 60? I could see it.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, it would be brutal. It'd be brutal if they actually do it, though. Because, I mean, talk about absolutely destroying the cap. Because, I mean, he's getting 60. I mean, the cap hit is 60 this year anyway, right? So then you'd have to do like a weird signing bonus to give him extra money this year. And then you would have to absolutely destroy the salary cap in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
No, I agree. No. Raj, kind of following along this, do you want to kind of sum up what you did in your short about Tua? And then the follow-up question on it is, where do you feel his pressure compared to like Jordan Love and a Trevor Lawrence? I kind of put that group together because, and sorry for your guy Tua, but between the 3 of them, there's 2 playoff wins among the 3 of them, and now they're all north of 50. So how do you feel going on this year with Tua?
No, I mean, I think that if we win the division, but we lose in the first round, and I think all the criticism that's going to come to his way is definitely warranted. And I'll do the best I can to defend him. I'll be on my phone on the computer trying to look for irrelevant stats to just kind of throw everybody's attention off. Yeah, just trying to figure stuff out. But I mean, you got to win a playoff game. That's what everybody's expecting you to do. And then obviously the window is going to get smaller and smaller after each year if you don't make it to the playoffs. So I don't know how long Tyreek's going to play, to be honest with you. He's already won, Super Bowl. I don't know how much longer he's going to be in the league. Eventually, Waddle might have to sign somewhere else. That whole offense is going to be really, really hard to keep together for a long period of time. So we have to win now. We have to win this year.
Just real quick, Randy, that the market is set by other guys, and that's the most important position. And if you don't pay it, somebody else will end up doing it. So, and that's the leverage a lot of these guys have.
So Trevor Lawrence and go ahead, Bo. I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, it just is especially true when it happens like Daniel Jones or when their contracts came up, because it was, you either have to sign him or you're moving on.
Right.
And there's no one to move on to. So these guys have them over a barrel. They have the leverage. If the team had the leverage, you can bet they wouldn't be giving them this money. They'd be like, oh, you know what? You feel like you're a $45 million quarterback, not a 53. But because it's like, look, you're either paying me or I'm out, they have to make a decision. It's why I thought it was interesting Gino tried to broach the conversation of renewing his contract when he still has this year and next year potentially on that contract.
How much is Gino making this year?
What's that?
How much is Gino making this year?
I want to say it's close to 30. So, I mean, it's low, right? Especially for his production.
Did you ever think that would be a thing? 30.
Yeah, I know, right? Like
low. Yeah.
30 million. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Chump change doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so, but the thing that's interesting about it is because he just floated that idea out there.
Right.
The Seahawks as an organization have a history of not doing that, right? Like they won't talk about contracts until the year before. And so this one was a little bit early. Again, they have a history of not doing it. So it's not a surprise that nothing came of it, but just kind of interesting.
Yeah. This would never work to try to let your quarterback walk every year, especially with the teams that we're talking about. You'd never be picking high enough to replace the guy that you're losing. So I can't see that for like any of the teams that are on here. So
yeah, I mean, if you were the Panthers, you could do it. Actually, honestly, we watched this happen. We watched the Browns try this idea,
right?
And it's never worked.
Yeah. So Sarah, just because we're keeping with the quarterbacks, I don't want to go into too much, but in the case that you guys don't sign Dak somehow, what is plan B?
Trey Lance, here we go.
I hope it's a God. It's not Trey Lance, but I think after preseason week 1, I think they would have really scrambling. I think Dak stock went up after seeing that. He played a little bit better. Yeah, he played a little bit better this past week, but he's just not at that step yet, to get there. And I feel like maybe if they don't sign Dak, plan is to trial next year a little bit with him. And then depending upon where they fall into the draft and who they can draft, maybe move on from there and kind of utilize him as a temporary piece. But this is like terrible. I do not want to watch that. I will not be watching the Cowboys football. Like Trey Lance, I don't know. I think he has the talent level there, but I think unfortunately just being in and out of, not really in and out of the league, I guess, but in and out of regular playing experience. Like he's just so far behind in terms of that experience level. And he's someone who just clearly needs it. I think he has the raw talent and athleticism, but not necessarily from like the NFL skill set maybe, or, maybe it's mindset and, the actual knowledge base aspect. I'm not sure, but it's not there. He's not ready to step in and lead a team by any means.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing with Lance is he just couldn't stay healthy. I mean, he basically played one game a year. And so, to your point, super far behind because most of the guys that are playing have played more preseason games than he's played games in the NFL as a whole. So, I don't know if he's ever going to be the guy because even if you get him out there, can he stay healthy?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. This makes it even weirder that they would go for him in a situation where you would never want him to see the field where he's not.
I didn't understand that at all.
I think it was agreed. I honestly think it was just like a greedy move by Jerry Jones. So like, just think, oh, he's like cheap. Like what's like, it's like, let's just see what we can get of this sort of thing. Because, Cooper Rush is a very solid backup that they have. And he's actually a really good backup quarterback. But we're not kidding anyone. He's not starting quarterback quality. You know what I mean? I feel like we kind of know where his ceiling is. Like when he's playing well, he's there and we know what it is. And I feel like maybe they felt like they were buying Trey Lance at, buying him low and seeing, the ceiling is high, but it's just like such a small chance of getting there. I feel like
I'm going to say this, and I don't know. I'm going to say this, and I don't know how it's going to come out, but Cooper Rush just isn't sexy. Dak is sexy. I think that's what she meant to say. Yeah, that's they like seeing Dak at the podium. He knows how to talk. Dak's a good leader. He's good on the field during the regular season. Cooper Rush is good during the regular season, but he doesn't have that charisma that Dak has.
So
yeah, he shows up and does his job.
Yeah. The thing about Cooper Rush is if Dak were to get hurt going into the playoffs, Cooper Rush could do a Nick Foles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he could come in and like he is that caliber of a backup. Like he is that fringe starter type of guy. He plays well enough for that. Like he's probably not your franchise guy, but if you need a backup to actually come in and win games, he can do that.
Yeah.
I think
particularly on Dallas because he's been in that system for so long.
Exactly.
I think that's why he looks good when he replaced Dak.
It's the consistency. He's very consistent. He gets good reps with these guys. Like I feel like he's level-headed in that. So yeah, I mean, often what do you see when these backup quarterbacks are thrust into situations like that? They're very usually like erratic and nervous, not connecting well. Yeah. I feel like there's none of that with him. So it makes him he's reliable. I guess would be a good way to put it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, Randy. That's because certain positions they throw all their money at, and then sometimes they just try to piece together the rest. So that's kind of like where you end up with this. But the face of your organization, they're just going to get the most money. That's just kind of how it is. So
I just like that last one. I know the one clip that'll come out of this.
Well, that's big. Mike always does our clips from the show for us, so I'll have to wait till tomorrow to see what's coming up from it. And Randy, I think you're somewhere in the middle. There is the sport is definitely changing. I think college and NFL, and as more money takes over, it's just kind of the product on the field is not always the best. So, who wanted to give our top 6 quarterbacks first? Does anybody have a great list they got to share first? Is Raj smiling? Is 2 at the top of the list, Raj?
I mean, I'm curious.
He's on the list.
I knew that.
He's on the list. He's not on the top. And I'll give you my 6, and I go again. These are in no specific order. I'm going to go Mahomes, Lamar, Tua. I like C.J. Stroud. Really excited to see him this upcoming year. Goff, and I think Burrow. I think Burrow is going to have a bounce back year this year. So that's my 6. I was thinking Josh Allen, but again, I don't know. I don't know if him and Keon Coleman are going to have that connection that he and Diggs did last year. I think it might take some time for them to gel. So he didn't kind of make the top 6, but I think I'm pretty confident with my 6. Of course, it's going to get jumbled up here and there between you 3. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Sarah, you want to go next?
Yeah, mine are kind of in order, maybe like the back half, give or take a spot. But I'm going to go Mahomes. I am Burrow, I would say, at this point, obviously going off injured last year, but we think he'll be this year. Lamar, Allen, Dak, of course. I mean, we're going off last year's numbers. I feel like he deserves to be on this list. Yeah. And I think CJ Stroud as well. I think he's going to continue to take big leaps this year. And I think that the Texans are going to be very good, led by him.
Yeah, I like it. Yep. And I don't feel like Dak is a homer pick, by the way. I think, especially like
no,
he's like a top 5.
He's been a solid QB for the past 3 or 4 years, or past several years. So yeah, it's a good pick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not be a top 10 quarterback with 12-5 teams the last 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
right. Like you're doing something right.
Exactly.
So I guess for me, obviously, I got Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. I also think Burrow is going to have a bounce back year. He seems to be injured every other year, so this is the year he should be healthy. I have Stafford and Goff as the last 2 spots there, and mostly just because they are both very consistent. They're both 4,000 plus yard passers with over a 90 passer rating. I mean, you don't get much more, and they're like a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception. I mean, you know what you're going to get every day. Dak, I always wait for that like interception bug to happen. So he would have been sitting there at like 7 or 8. So it's that back half of the top 10 that I would have guys like CJ Stroud, stuff like that the picks are more on projection than what we've seen.
Yeah. So here's one for you, Raj, leaving Josh Allen top 6, which by the way, I'm okay with. I have never been a huge Josh Allen fan, but what's up, Travis? You missed the
Thank you for joining us,
Trevor
man.
Lawrence talk, so it's probably for the best.
I was wondering when Trevor Lawrence's name was brought up. I was wondering where Travis was, but I guess he hadn't arrived yet. So
Yeah, I hadn't logged in because otherwise I'd have got some hate mail over here.
yeah.
Not that I said anything bad about him, actually, but
and the Raiders fan, yeah. Gardner Minshew will be exciting. He'll win you a couple games, and then I just feel like around game 5 or 6, like the ride's over with, and it's just going to kind of fall off.
He's looked pretty decent in preseason, but again, that's
not like what like that will never be on the commercial. Hey, Gardner Minshew, he's pretty decent. Like, that's not...
he is the new generation Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's what he is. He's fun to watch. He goes out, He'll make some big throws. He'll also mess some games up, but he's wildly entertaining. And so, you know, if you don't have a quarterback, you do want a guy like that because then at least the game is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hate old. No, I am old people, so there is definitely no hate at all. Actually, hating 93 who win. Awesome, agreed. All right, so the next question up on the board for everybody was a team that, and you can do it in any order, team that missed the playoffs last year, that you expect to make the playoffs, and a team that made the playoffs that you expect to miss the playoffs this year. And why don't we start off with Bo, unless he's still thinking about it. I can give you all some candidates if everybody needs a minute for it.
So as far as one that misses, I'm not sure. I'll come back to that one. I think the Seahawks will sneak in this year.
Right.
I think on the NFC side, there is tough enough divisions that a 9-8 team will get in. And I think they are probably a team that they end up with the same record as the Rams, but basically have the tiebreaker on them. That's kind of how I see the Hawks getting in. So they are a bubble team, right? So I'm going to go with them getting in. As far as a team to miss, I almost want to say the Cowboys miss, and you know,
I just think they've got too much time. And Randy, by the way, your answer is going to come up, so I'll post that.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is I think these contracts actually could be part of the problem. Is if they don't get done, that's a lot like getting a franchise tag. Like it puts your personnel in a kind of a bad headspace. So, I mean, I thought they would take a step back anyway, just because of players that they lost. But if they don't get any of these contracts done, that could mess the team up. Like they could potentially miss the playoffs there.
Yeah. Sadly, it's certainly possible. I don't agree, but I could see a world that happens.
Yeah. I guess I didn't have on my list just because I feel like there's just enough sheer talent to still do it. So
I feel like offensively, and I feel like the contracts are going to get done, and I feel like offensively the Cowboys will be there. So
yeah.
I didn't have them take a step back.
I have them penciled in as getting in also, but like I could see a scenario where they.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean the point is definitely valid. Yeah, the point is definitely valid. So, are they your only team? Like no AFC team you could see? Before we move on
mean,
to
the AFC is just it's weird.
Weird.
Like I feel like there could be half the.
Is that me or is that Bo?
Freeze up. Bo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm never sure if it's me first though. So
I don't have one like that's team. No, it's been a little bit of an issue here today.
Okay.
But so yeah, basically there's enough teams that are good enough on the AFC side that I think there's a few different options that could happen. So I don't have one like surefire, they're going to make it or they're not kind of thing.
Okay. Sarah, what you got for us?
I think in terms of teams that might make a push to make the playoffs this year, I know this is going to sound a little counterintuitive being Cowboys fan, but I actually think the Commanders have a good chance this year. They're kind of my sleeper team. That's what does worry me a little bit about, honestly, the NFC East, because I think it's going to be a lot of tough battles that could be split like 1-1 among the Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders. I mean, the NFC East typically beats up on each other usually, but I think the Commanders are going to be much more of a threat. Maybe I'm biased under Dan Quinn Quinn. But I mean, Dan Quinn took a lot of good weapons from the Cowboys and also acquired some others, obviously drafted well. I'm excited to see Jaden Daniels fit into that offense. So I think they're going to take a big step up this year. And they were kind of knocking at the door last year. Like they were not totally out of playoff contention going into the last couple of weeks of the season. So I think that they could definitely make a push this year just by kind of playing pretty gritty. I mean, I think their defense is going to be pretty good and really, solid. So I think they'll probably at least be in the talks going to the last week of the season, maybe miss out slightly, but I think they definitely have playoff chances. And then on the flip side of that, I think actually, I don't know if I necessarily want to say the Eagles are not going to make the playoffs, but I feel like if one team is trending up and the other is trending down, I see those two going in opposite directions. And I think the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. So I don't know if 3 NFC East teams will make it in this year. The NFC has been weaker than the AFC, but still, I don't know. I don't know if I see 3 teams getting in. I feel like the Eagles have potential not to. They were kind of trending in the wrong direction going towards the end of last season, as we all know. And I think there's definitely going to be a lot of pressure from a coaching perspective. Yes, they picked up Saquon, and I know they built up their corners and their defense a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like with the loss of Kelsey, their offense is going to have to shift a little bit, and I'm not sure I think they might struggle to find a new offensive identity. So I think that there's a possibility, that they maybe get off to a rough start or something like that, and then it's kind of hard to like dig out of that hole, at the end of the season to make it in, or maybe they do, if they do, kind of scraping in at the last minute.
Raj, what you got?
All right, so it's funny that Randy mentioned the Falcons because I have the Falcons as far as a team that missed the playoffs last year that can make it this year. They were 7-10 last year. Obviously, I'm assuming Kirk Cousins gets to start week 1 as long as he's healthy. Then you got Penix as a backup. We know what Penix did in college. They're going to have the running back room. They picked up Judon.
The number 8 pick, but
I know. They picked up Judon and Justin Simmons as far as defensively, so they're good there. And the one thing that's going to help the Falcons this year is that they have the easiest schedule. I think PFF rated them and the Saints as having the easiest schedules in 2024. So that's going to go a long way. Not to mention they're in a pretty smooth division, a pretty easy division.
Because they play the Panthers, that probably drags down your schedule.
Yeah, that's 2 wins right there.
Exactly.
As far as
they probably won't forget Bijan is on that roster. So
and Algiers, yep. As far as teams taking a step back, I'm gonna stay in the AFC East, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm praying and hoping this team takes a step back, and that's the team I mentioned earlier, the Buffalo Bills. I'm tired of losing to them. I can't have them up there at the top. Honestly, I would rather compete against a 40-year-old Aaron Jones to see what they can do as far as competing for the AFC East. But
Aaron Rodgers.
But Aaron Rodgers, I'm sorry. But in all seriousness, I just don't know if Josh Allen has that much more, to go as far as with Keon Coleman. I'm interested to see how that connection works offensively. But I'm hoping that the Bills take a step back.
I had them on my list as teams of slipping teams. I didn't say they weren't going to make the playoffs, but I did think that their team were definitely going to see a notable step back this year.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's why I said Randy's joke, like kind of hitting on the Falcons. I was actually feel like they have a great shot, and they don't have to jump most of these teams. The only team they have to jump here is Tampa Bay. Win your division, you're making the playoffs. So that's a team that I would slide out. So interesting though, we didn't get. Nobody has any answers with the Jets, the Bengals, the Jags, Chargers. None of these teams kind of strike a bell.
So the problem with the Jets is it's like everybody just forgets about the fact that Aaron Rodgers wasn't good the last year in Green Bay. Right. Jordan Love balled out with the same dudes. Like it's not like it was a whole new team. It's the same guys. So if you go from he didn't have a great season to now he misses all of last year, I don't know how your projection is he's going to be a league MVP again, right? Like if there's competent play, he's going to be in the playoff mix, right? Because that defense is elite, no question. But I don't expect him to be amazing, right? Had a year off, didn't play great the year before. That doesn't say, hey, Pro Bowl MVP, let's go.
Roger,
are you fearing him in the division? Or are you really focused on Buffalo?
No, I'm focused more on Buffalo, to be honest with you. I just don't know what we're going to get from a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I think if he can go ahead, as long as the offensive line protects for him, he can get rid of the ball. I think they'll do pretty good this year. But I'm still focused on Buffalo. They've been dominating the division the past few years, and that's kind of like a thorn in my side. I just want to see them lose. And again, Miami has to win the division this year, or else I'm just not going to do this anymore. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
The thing that's
so
funny
dire.
is when you watch the Bills going down the stretch, they basically stopped using Diggs anyway. It's like they knew that they were getting rid of him regardless. So, I mean, they were winning games down the stretch with him mostly not being in the game, right? Like on the field, sure, but they didn't utilize him at all. So I think they were really trying to see what they had without him before they pulled the trigger on letting him, walk out the door.
Yeah, I agree. Sarah,
you kind of got an upgrade by going to Houston. So
yeah. Oh yeah. But I don't know that Houston needed them. Their wide receiver core was pretty good.
No. They
No, in fact, if anything, he could be a problem there.
Yeah.
Right? Because he already had guys he liked. And I mean, I don't think he will. He has a tendency to be fine the first couple years wherever he goes. And he only has a 1-year deal anyway. So it's a contract year. I have a feeling he's going to want to ball out. But if that diva action, pops out, that could be a real problem on a young team.
Agreed. That's why I was a little surprised at the whole move. Sarah, do you have any thoughts on Joe Burrow before we kind of move into a couple last questions and division winners and the Bengals? Do you feel a bounce back from them, or are we leaving them off this list for?
No, I think they're definitely going to have. I kind of left them off of this list because I honestly thought it was kind of a little bit of a no-brainer, I guess, that they're going to come back this year. I think
there's no brains, so
no, I think I meant like we all were expecting that, so it wasn't really worth talking about. But no, I mean, I think it's kind of like Bo said. I mean, he has proven to have injury year, healthy year, injury year, healthy year. And healthy Burrow is top of the league, honestly, up there. I mean, he's the only guy who can beat Mahomes at this point, right? And I think that's for a reason. So I think the Bengals are going to be very good. I think I'm not sure what their running back situation is because I know they lost Mixon, I believe.
Mixon went to where'd he go? Where did Joe Mixon go?
I don't remember
something like that. It feels like. So your Bengals running back Zach Moss, Chase Brown, Travion Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think as long as they can build up their line.
Yeah.
As long as they can build up their line, I think that's everything because, for running game and protecting Burrow. And I think they've worked on that, worked to do that the past few years. So I think that should translate over pretty well for success.
It's the defense I still worry about. They just don't have a great defense. So they're going to be in a similar boat with Miami where it's a track meet. Now, we watched KC do it and win a ring. So, I mean, you can do it. But, I mean, it's not a great way to go. Like, some defense is helpful.
All right. So, where was the first one? All right. This one, I think, was just for Sarah and Bo. Where do you guys put Tua on your list since he didn't make your top 6?
Man.
They both gave the same look.
Wow, Bo.
No, I mean, so
Bo was like,
no, like it's the worst because like there's talent, but you can't ignore the not available portion of his career, right? So I mean, like if he was healthy the whole time, he probably would have been in my top 6, right? But I can't count on him to be there. He's only had one good season. So do I think that was the outlier, or do I think that learning jiu-jitsu is going to help produce him, healthy seasons moving forward? I don't know. I got to see it. And so since I don't know, that puts him in that kind of like 10-ish range because you just don't know.
Yep. That's fair.
I would have to agree. I would think right around 10 is where I would, if I'm mentally kind of putting through who I didn't have on there, I would say right around 10. But I think if he's able to string together a healthy season this year, he definitely would move up, far more on my list. I think we just need to see more of him, and what he's capable of.
Yeah. And that's fair.
I agree.
We mentioned it going back to college. Like the year we won the championship with him, he wasn't even the starter. And then we got him in the starter and we just got 2 injury plague seasons. So it's like, we definitely get it. So, you've all coming in Titans sleeper pick to get the number 1 pick. The division just
Mayo Messiah.
Oh man,
I haven't heard that one before.
That has Mayo in it now. Like, what are we doing right now?
I don't know. That's not stuff you want to get out. The Bengals are one off. Yeah, I mean it's kind of like what both their points were. So yeah, I'm with you there. And then what was the over-unders on Rodgers gets past 3 games? I don't want to wish that on anybody, but yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And
I
of course,
think he
there goes
gets.
Name
I
the
think he
starter.
gets through 3. I would take the over on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But after
He
that,
said
you just,
make it through the season. Oof.
yeah.
But more than 3 games, I think he gets that.
All right, let's get into the quick playoff picks and everything. So I don't know if y'all want to go with your top 7 or just give me your division winners and then you got final 4. So whoever wants to jump in first. Otherwise, we'll make Bo go first.
I just did division winners.
Okay, give them to me then.
I didn't do wild card teams just because I think there's going to be a lot that are going to be kind of that 9 and 8 this year.
Right. Fair.
So yeah, I guess I'll go AFC North. I'll go Ravens. I got the Texans winning the South. I got the Dolphins taking the East.
Ooh.
And KC winning the West. Right.
So you picked Rodgers' team, but not Travis's team. So does that mean you just like Raj better than Travis, or how's that?
Look at you trying to start fights out here.
That's what I do. That's what the host does.
No, I'm just the Jags. The Jags are also one of those. I don't believe in their defense, and there's only so many teams you can send through that have no defense. Like so and I do.
I can
there we
feel
go.
Travis typing.
But yeah, no, I want to see more out of this Jags team before I would have them winning their division. But just consistency wise. So, and I do why I have the Dolphins winning is I do think the Bills take a step back, and I don't believe in the Jets. So,
smart man.
And then if we. So if we go over to the NFC side, I have the Lions taking the North. I have the Falcons winning the South, Eagles, and 49ers. This will be the last year of the Niners.
Yeah, it's about to get really, really. Though we didn't really talk about Ayuk, but I'd love that saga to be over. By the way, but yeah, it's going to get really messy for the 49ers real quick.
Yeah, I mean they just don't have the money to pay everybody.
Yeah. Yep. What you got, Sarah?
I have pretty much the same, I believe, other than I did take the Cowboys in the NFC East, and then in parentheses I did write barely because I think it's going to be tight again, as it always is in the NFC East. Like it's always coming down. However,
can they win though? Because that division never wins back to back.
I was just going to say this would be a feat to get it back to back, and I think they can go for it. Like I said, just because I think the Eagles are going to be taking a step back. I think the Commanders are going to take a little bit to fall into their own, with a rookie quarterback. So I think if the Cowboys can get contract issues aside and start off the season on the right note, then I think they have a chance. And then my only difference in the AFC, I believe, I think I took you said the Bengals, I believe we took it. I'm sorry, the Ravens, and I'm taking the Bengals to win the North, which I think that also is going to be tight because I do think the Ravens will still be a playoff team for sure. But I don't know. I just feel like something about Lamar has left like a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth the past few years. I feel like I need to see him get it done a little bit more. And I think the Bengals, if they can all stay healthy, will be a better overall team.
I think that's very fair about the Ravens, especially given what their coaching staff did in that playoff game.
Well, I think that's why they brought Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Right? Like
you can't correct that mistake.
You can't ignore that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be like, "Hey guys, put me in."
Definitely. What you got, Raj?
Honestly, my 8 picks are completely identical to Bo's for pretty much the same reasons. The only, I guess, a few toss-ups I had was Sarah mentioned the NFC East. I do have the Eagles winning that division, but I could see where the Cowboys repeat again. It just depends on what happens with their offense. I got the Lions obviously winning the North. Yep, Falcons. I already mentioned them earlier. The 49. Yeah, all 8 picks were completely identical to both.
So, Raj, give me your 2 Super Bowl teams then. Let's go. Let's start there and go around that. 2 Super Bowl teams and who's your winner?
All right, I actually have Baltimore. Yeah, I know I did not pick Miami to win the Super Bowl. We're not going to do it this year. But
what kind of fan are you?
One day before I die, it'll happen. I have Baltimore playing Detroit, and I actually have Detroit winning the Super Bowl.
I could root for that. Yeah. Sarah, what you got?
I actually also have the Lions winning the Super Bowl. And I have them defeating the Bengals, as I've been talking about this whole time. I feel like these are two, honestly, I'm not lying. These are two teams I could see myself rooting for other than the Cowboys. They're both, I think, likable organizations, in my opinion. So I feel like that kind of is it because I think we're all sick of the same old 49ers and Chiefs. So I feel like I just was looking at them and I'm like, I cannot pick these teams, even if I think they might win, which I think they might. But I feel like we'll go something different with the Lions and the Bengals.
Fair enough. I like it. Bo, what you got?
I got Ravens Lions.
What?
So,
Did you guys all get together before the show?
I feel like we just jinxed the Lions, though. I don't think this is good.
I know.
So
I
when
have the
Lions
Ravens.
miss the playoffs.
I have the Ravens getting the win, though.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly because the Lions don't stop the run particularly well.
Right.
If the Ravens don't forget that they need to run the ball also, Lamar runs well still, and of course Derrick Henry is an absolute monster. So
yeah,
I agree.
If they don't run the ball, then the Lions walk away with it because it was just weird.
Yeah. All right, Raj, do you want to go first to give your questions, or how do you want to do this last part?
You can go ahead. Well, before we do that, what are your Super Bowl picks? Out of curiosity.
Yeah. I mean, I would have loved to pick Detroit before everybody here messed it up. So I will go with the boring San Francisco, Miami, just to please my brother. So I got to share something.
No, be honest. I don't want you to say that to make me
I mean, if I was going to be honest, like I love the Ravens Detroit pick, man. Like I said, the reason why the Ravens didn't make it last year is they forgot to run for the whole game against Kansas City. That was just one of the most insane things I've ever seen. So I like that pick. If I didn't go Detroit, I'd have to go San Francisco with their last ride. So those would be my favorites to get there. So I like Detroit, San Francisco, which means it's not going to happen. So I don't think I picked anything right last year. So this is why I host, Raj. This is why I don't
yeah, you're not good at anything else.
Hey.
I'm just playing.
Ready? Two quick questions, and we'll let y'all get out of here. All right, Sarah. We had last time we had work, play, live with you. We did throw in ditch. So you know the categories: work with, go out with, live next door to, and whose phone you let, whose calls you let go to voicemail. All right. We're going Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Jerry Jones.
Oh.
I feel like I'm going to work with Jerry Jones because I feel like I could maybe provide some input and get through to him on this contract issues. If I'm persistent enough. I also would just love to know what's going on behind the scenes with him. Like I feel like the Jones family and how they run the organization is just so interesting and behind the scenes. I'm probably going to ditch Micah Parsons. He's a great football player, but honestly he kind of annoys me with his off the field antics. I do feel like he talks too much, honestly.
Wow.
So I think so that leaves me with hang out with and live.
Yes.
Live, play.
Hang out Dak and CeeDee.
Yeah. Because you ditched him work,
I feel like Dak would be a really good neighbor or person to live near. So I feel like I'm going to go with that. I feel like he's respectful kind of guy. And then I feel like CeeDee, he seems like a fun guy. I mean, aside from he seems like he's actually having fun right now, even though he's not with the Cowboys. He's off, with his friends playing football on the beach and stuff instead of at camp. So I feel like he seems a fun guy to play with. So I'll go.
That's why he turned out at 33. He wasn't ready to come back.
Yeah, I think so too.
I feel like Dak would mow your lawn if you couldn't mow your lawn. He would do it for you.
Yeah.
You'd want him to be your neighbor anyway, because if you had to borrow something, he definitely has all of it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He definitely would. I mean, you guys don't know do it where there's snow, but he totally is the snow plows his neighbor's driveways, like before you can even get out there, sort of guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Jerry Jones seems like the guy that would call the HOA on you, so I don't know that I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He probably is the HOA.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so Bo, I know we all joke about you having the creek and the grill, and you're going on vacations and the yacht and the cabin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Except those aren't.
Let's just say, yeah. Let's just say you do have a yacht out there somewhere, and you have a weekend to get away, just you and the guys. Which 3 current or former Seahawks players are you going to take with you to join you on this weekend on the yacht, just to have some fun? Current or former?
So let's see. John Ryan would have to come. former punter, absolutely hilarious.
Okay.
Let's see. Does it have to be players?
Yes.
Because like in a way, I kind of want Pete Carroll, right? Because
that's
one,
fine. That's fine. We can stretch it out.
I
We can
want
stretch
to
it out.
consume a lot of football knowledge, and two, I kind of want to know what the hell happened. Since he's still with the organization ish, I'm curious what that looks like.
Okay. John Ryan,
and
Pete Carroll.
Again, just for sheer entertainment value, especially to get those three together, let's go beast mode. I think that would be hilarious to have together.
Yeah.
Yep. Except you're definitely getting the whole, hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined. The part of the,
Yeah.
the weekend.
You know what? Whatever. He is bringing Skittles. So.
Oh yeah.
You do have two comments for the punter that drew a Blake.
You only say that because you didn't see all of the things that he did here locally. Like, he is a very funny guy.
Yeah. He said no Cortez Kennedy.
Well, I mean, we weren't doing Hall of Famers. Like if I was going to be doing that, I would probably take, Easley, right? Super dominant safety. Like, I mean, there's guys like I would have Cam Chancellor, like if we were going that route. But I was thinking just for like entertainment value on the boat.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's where the question was being catered to. Yeah, just to have some fun.
All right, Sarah. Last question. We're not going to do the difficult questions that we always end with this year. This time around, just because y'all have been through it. So, if you got to remake the NFC East, you're kicking everybody out but the Cowboys. You got to pick 3 more teams to come in and join you and remake the division. What 3 teams are you picking?
I feel like the easy answer right now is just to like sub in the NFC South because they suck. So it would just like assure that the Cowboys would be good. I feel like.
You think like I do.
So I think I would definitely put the Panthers in there for sure. And then because I don't see them trending up anytime soon. I also feel like the Cowboys would just have their number. And I'm keeping the Giants because the Cowboys, especially under Dak, I mean, Dak, I think is like 12-3 against the Giants or something like that. Like, he has a very impressive record. So I'm not worried about them. So I think those 3 teams would probably be high rates of success.
So you're creating the Brady era AFC East.
Yes. But I love whenever they ask us that with college football, I'm always like, yeah, let's put Vandy on the schedule and Miami of Ohio. I'm like, yes, let's pick
stat padding. Yep.
I support it 1,000%.
So here's a fun thing if you just don't like Jets fans. If
wow.
If you go with there's 4 teams, per division, right? So where do you think the Jets end up in the East as far as division titles?
Like all time, you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. 3rd?
5th. They're 5th because the Colts used to be part of that division. Used to have 5 teams. and that's still true.
That's terrible.
Colts haven't been there in a minute.
That's crazy.
What you got, Raj?
All right, should be a pretty easy one, Bo. Work, play, live, ditch. Me, Hurt, Travis, or Mr. U. And Mr. U, I'm sorry.
Oh, man, you guys are can't even say that. It's a family show. Man, that is not going to be an answered list.
Travis is still logged in.
I'm going to go with I'm going to work and play with all of you guys, and I'm going to ditch this list.
Well played.
Kudos.
Well played.
Kudos.
Wow.
I will accept that answer.
All right, I guess we will let you escape for a night.
Yeah.
Man, we really appreciate y'all coming on, especially at a different night.
Definitely.
We had to make time for this, man, because I don't know, you two of our favorite people, man. We always enjoy the NFL ones. We'd love to keep this going in the future too, as well. So, start with Sarah. Sarah, tell everybody what you're working on next, where they can reach you. I know we're keeping you out past your bedtime, so we do appreciate you.
Yeah, way past my
staying.
bedtime, but it's okay. I'll do it for you guys. So you can find me at the Heating Up Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and all podcast platforms. And then at the Football Girl on Twitter is my personal page, but Heating Up Podcast is the main place you can find me.
And that was particular to you. I want to say NFL.
Primarily NFL. We do pretty much all sports. But NFL season primary focus is NFL with like a little bit of college here and there.
Fun fact: we found Sara and Randy on the same show, the Air Raid podcast. So, Air Raid Attack podcast. So both of them come from. You guys are like cousins or something, I guess. That's how.
In the podcast world.
Bo, what you got?
Yes, you can find me on my YouTube channel at Football-Talk, all of the socials, Football Talk with Bo. And yeah, just it's football time, so it's a busy time of year.
Oh yeah,
Sara, this was back to you, by the way.
The Heating Up Podcast.
Raj, any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
No, as Bo just mentioned, I'm excited about football season. Obviously, college football, we have week 0 coming up this Saturday. There's a nice little slate of games, but I'm only going to watch a few of them just because the eagerness is there, and I just want to watch some football. And then, of course, week 1 it starts next week, and then NFL's coming up too. So excited.
Yep. Appreciate y'all both. Again, we will be back on tomorrow night with our SEC preview. So we've got a couple of guests for that as well. Thank you both. Like I said, we appreciate you always making time.
We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
It was funny. We told them we couldn't do Mondays, and all of a sudden I told them we could do this Monday, and neither one of them said, hey, he said no to that. It was like, all right, just be quiet and hope the show actually goes on.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing, right? It was just like, I don't know.
It was confusing. I was very confused.
No, appreciate y'all both, man. Everybody have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all for tuning into the podcast, and as always, roll tide.
Roll tide.